Hi guys, Mark Frederick, La Charcuterie Anglais. I'd like to speak to you about canning charcuterie. I just want to offer you a few good tips on how best to do it. Whether you're at home or small business, the one tool you need to invest in my opinion, and I stress this, and that is what's called an American canner. So it's like a pressure cooker, fits on your stove top, so you can run it off gas, electric, whatever, it doesn't matter. And the lids are as such where they got different fasteners, about 6 of them at top, so they're like little bolts that fasten up and clamp the lid down with like butterfly knobs. And then they've got all the regalia on the top. The steam regulator valve showing you the pressure, and you've got steam outlet pipe with like a weight that goes on that you use for depending on where you are in terms of elevation above sea level. The higher you go, if you're 1,000, I think it's like if you're 1,000 foot above sea level, you have to change the weight, turn the weight to 50, I think it's 15 psi or something like that, but don't quote me on that, double check yourself, all right? So, but this is the best tool you could buy. There are other versions of steam cookers and the like on the market, but I wouldn't recommend anything else other than an American canner. The Americans have got it off to a T. Now, unfortunately, the price of these American canners have shot up this past 10 years. And I hate to mention the word, but during COVID, the price just went psh. And of course, everybody was trapped indoors and they were looking for things to do, and they took up canning, which is great. However, it just knocked up the price of these canning machines, cookers, and so they're horrendous expensive. They're as much as $300 now for about a 25 quart, which is about the best size really, and that way you can just get the right amount of jars in without going berserk. So that's the tool you need, and then you've got to process your meats according to your recipes, get them into your jars, and then get your jars into the canner, and then decide whether you want to use saltpeter or a nitrate in your foods or not. There isn't always it's not always necessary to do that when you're canning, because there's only 2 things in the world that can actually halt the process of botulinum growing into a toxin. Because nothing can kill botulinum, all right? I'll just repeat that. Nothing can kill botulinum, but there's 2 things that can halt its process from developing into a toxin, and that's the use of saltpeter or a nitrate, and the other one is cooking at high temperature, 121 degrees, for a minimum of 3 minutes. And of course, the autoclave can give you that, all right? So these American canners can give you that. So if you've got any concerns about botulinum, then in there you're not going to have any worries. So if you're using a canner, no need to use the nitrates if you don't wish. But I don't mind using nitrates, to be honest. But but it's your choice. So so this tool is really good, and if you're going to do any canning, that's the one tool I would recommend. I don't want to recommend anything else, no matter how good they are or maybe. I've got no personal experience of any other canner. That's not quite true. I've used the German style canners, and they just don't bloody match up to the American canner. And the Americans have got canning off to a bloody art, I tell you. So so well done, America. So follow their advice. They've got the best advice on when it comes to canning. So what else can I tell you? Use jars like this. I mean, this is a Riette I made in mine back in 22. So we're now November 25, so 3 years old that is. It's my last jar as it happens. And I've got it out, and I'm not going to even open it. I'm going to save it for Christmas, so it'll come out and I can share it amongst family and friends. But if you spot a nice jar in the supermarket you like the look of, you can buy that and the product, dispose of the lid afterwards, because you can buy lids easily to fit, and then you use those with a new lid. Put in the autoclave, that worked really well, and then you've got a nice shaped glass jar. Because if you had to buy jars, sometimes they cost you more than a product complete with jar. It's crazy, isn't it? Plus the shipping, and this is a real example. I like this one, or the style, and then you just need the little clips to go on top, so when you're cooking it keeps the lid down, which I've got in my kitchen drawer. I could have got them out and put them on just to show you, but anyway, I'm only human. So you got that, and with those as well, once you've pulled the, because these are a bit thin, these ones, and these, once you've pulled the tongue to break the seal, you can inspect the ring, and if it's worth keeping, keep it. If not, dispose of it and responsibly, and just buy some new ones. They're easily available. Well, they are where I live, so no big issues there. And so it's choosing your recipes into a pâté form or rillette. Get them all placed into your jars. Put them in your canner for the allotted cooking time. Make sure you're above 121 degrees for a minimum of 3 minutes. So you got so there's no fear of botulinum forming, developing. Because remember, there's nothing can kill it. All right. Keep stressing that nothing can kill botulinum. So that's it. So what else can I tell you? You can put anything inside really, and any meats. So if you're making sausages, for example, and you've always got some leftover sausage meat in your sausage filler, whether it's a hand one or a vacuum one or whatever, then you can pop these into your jars, and then once if you've got a few together, you can pop them into your American canner and store your meat that way. Because once they're cooked off, you can keep them ambient and they'll keep for years. Well, you can see with that one, and it looks perfectly fine. That's all the white fat from the rillette. But I love rillette. It's probably one of my favourite soft charcuterie items. So what else can I tell you? I can tell you a backstory if you like. It's absolutely true. Years ago, I used to make soft charcuterie like this, and rillette was one of them. And then I did pâtés, liver-based pâtés, non-liver-based pâtés, and so forth. I had about 6 products, and just small scale, and 180 grams, very small jars with lids and things. And I was very fortunate. I was able to retail them into farm shops, even at castles, which was nice. It just made you feel good. A shelf in a farm shop was very worthy, but just because it belonged to a castle, it just made me feel that little bit better about myself that I, retailing there. And then I also used to supply River Cottage, for those who know River Cottage down in Dorset, their farm shop, Axminster. I used to supply into there. Felt very privileged, so I was chosen to put my products in River Cottage for sale. And then around about the same time, I was approached by, I'm showing off now, all right, forgive me, or shoot me now. I was approached by Fortnum and Mason. They got in touch, and they invited me down to their little corner shop in London. Wow! And gave me the tour, round the back and out the front, and we're talking charcuterie, and I kept waiting and waiting, for the punchline, what's it all about, and then eventually the delivery came. They actually asked me if I'd be prepared to start supplying them with my charcuterie, the canned one, and to go in with a minimum of 10 products. I can't remember how many they had, but it was more than 10, but they wanted me to go in with 10. What they wanted to do at the time was to start reducing importing pâtés and the like from the continent, including Belgium and France. Nothing against the Belgians, nothing against the French, but it was just like that local thing was coming into its own. So I felt very, very privileged and humbled that I was asked to do this. Anyway, there was a few more meetings. They came and visited me. I lived in Devon at the time. They came and visited me in Devon. I went again, visited them at their London store. Cut a long story short, I never took it up. It was just too difficult for me financially to have the right kind of setup in order to supply the quantities that they would have preferred, and the money it would have took. I wasn't really willing to borrow, because I felt, very often in this world, you can be in today and you can be out tomorrow. And I'm not suggesting Fortnum & Mason would have, kicked me out the door tomorrow, but I was thinking to myself, well, what's going to happen in 2, 3, maybe even 5 years' time? Well, I'm still paying my debt off, and they've decided to change their tactic and purchase elsewhere. I'll be left with the debt and without this wonderful customer. So it was for that reason never followed through. And both myself and Fortnum & Masons were kind of sad, but the situation was understood, and we left it at that, So which is a real shame. So so there's a bit of a backstory. So I've told you that. Told you about the nitrates, haven't I? Cooking at high temperatures. That's crucial. So and the best tool, American canner. Let's give the Americans some credit. So they deserve it in this instance. And so yeah, that's as much as I can offer, really. So if you found this video interesting, or if you can use any of the information, please give me a like, share, whatever it is people do, and pop down into the information below, and please buy me a coffee if you don't mind. Helps to make these videos and so forth. And have a good day, and see you next time. Toodaloo.